There we go. We'll get synced up and we'll get right into it, okay, folks? Thank you for being here this morning, by the way. I got a bunch of notes. We're going to have a good good podcast here, as long as we're 5 by 5, getting ready to find out.
Everyone was scrambling to buy toilet paper.
Get by an ad about toilet paper. Wow. All right, we are good to go. So let me start off by saying I'm going to ask you to be nice. I'm going to ask you to be nice until it's time not to be nice. If that doesn't get a few thumbs up, I'm done. I'm done trying after that. I've got my Roadhouse shirt on. Shout out to Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott. There we go. How y'all doing this morning? Let's see who is in the house. Shadow Cat. Sheila Luce is in the house. Good morning, ma'am. Teresa, Lady C. KB, Swamp Bottom Living. How you doing? I love it, somebody said. Keith. Slow Chat is on, mods. I do apologize, but Roadhouse is the jam. So, yeah, prepping for beginners. Let's talk about that this morning. It would be impossible to do one single video to tell everybody everything they need to know about prepping, right? Number one, I don't know everything about prepping. And number two, that would be a really long video. Way too long. So we're going to hit the basics this morning. And what I'm going to do when we start getting into the notes I'm taking is I'm going to ask the more advanced preppers to add whatever they want to add. And that way newer preppers can go in and they can, look at the tips and tricks and everything. But let me give you an order of the way that I approach prepping, because I think there's an order. I start with food. A lot of preppers, most preppers, start with water. And I totally get that mindset. But it's a little different for me. We get a lot of rain here. And my philosophy is, look, man, turkey legs, they don't fall from the sky. Water falls from the sky. There's plenty of bodies of water where I'm at. And it's just really, it's a lot easier for me to get water and purify it than it would be food. So I concentrate on food first. That's me. That's probably going to look a lot different if you're in New Mexico or Texas or something, okay? So a close second for me is water. I've seen on a lot of blogs and a lot of videos, you need a gallon of water per day to survive. Short term, maybe 3 or 4 days. But after that, realistically, you're going to need 4 to 5 gallons because you're going to have to do all kinds of stuff with water other than just drink water to survive. Have ways to purify it, have ways to collect it. I'm looking at a rain catchment. I'm going to review that sometime this week here, probably in a separate video on the channel so I can get it out in the yard and everything. But there's nothing to them. Number 3, shelter. You got to have a decent shelter over your head. That goes without saying. I shouldn't have to explain that, right? Number 4, medicines. I prep medicines, over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, any medicines I might need that I can get in advanced. Sometimes if you're on a medicine, for example, I'm on medicine for heartburn, acid reflux, and I'm on it all the time, right? So my doctor, it's not a narcotic. My doctor, if I call him and say, hey man, can you hook a brother up with 90 days supply or something? Every so often he may do that. He's cool like that. Susan S., thank you very much, ma'am, and good morning. And then I'm going with clothing and gear. I consider them both to be in the same category. Warm clothes, like winter jackets here, to me is the same thing as prepping gear, okay? Good boots, tent, warm socks. Somebody kept saying socks yesterday in the chat, and that's right. Next on the list for me is means of self-protection. You gotta have, that means guns, people. You gotta have means of self-protection. You gotta be able to protect the preps that you have, because we all know where they're coming when it hits the fan, son. They're coming to your house. We are 5 by 5. Thank you, Swamp Bottom. I'm so glad. Otherwise, I've been sitting here talking for nothing. And last on the list for me is barter. Barter, I mean, it can be anything. It can be prescription glasses, for God's sake. But the main barter items that we stick to is going to be tobacco. Somebody was asking in the chat a few minutes ago, tobacco. I would vacuum seal it if that's a possibility for you. It'll last longer. But truth be told, even if you have a stale bag of tobacco, somebody that's desperate for it is going to barter for it. Alcohol, whiskey, any kind of liquor, vodka, potentially antibiotics. Don't know if I would barter. It's a good barter item, but I don't know right now if I'd barter ammo or food. Those two things. And then precious metals would probably be last on that list. And congratulations to AR for having the bragging rights this morning. First one in here. Kind of shocked me a little bit. Booze too, there you go. So there are other things as well, you know. I guess technically Caveman James is a prepper because he's just working on his barter item first because he likes to smoke it. If we could quickly, just keep First Waffin in your prayers. I don't know if First Waffin's catching this or not, but still going through medical issues. Huge member of the community, and the mods may be able to share First Waffin's email. I think they have permission. I just don't have the email, or I would have linked it down below. So I'm going to go down the tips list here, and you veteran preppers, please add whatever you want to this list, okay? So it's like Fight Club, okay? For you new preppers, there is no prepping. What's a prepper? We don't know what you're talking about, son. Because loose lips lead to a lot of bad things. I finally have convinced my wife of this. Hey, don't tell people at work we prep. Loose lips, you don't want to do it. It is a marathon, not a sprint. One of the mistakes I made out of the gate, and I have a bad habit of doing this when I get, when I get interested in something, I'll rush out and I'll try and get everything I'm going to need like the first month, like a sprint, and you start to burn out if you do it that way. Number one, it costs tons of money, but number two, you kind of get burnout. There's a plane overhead. So, take your time, do it slowly, okay? Let me see here. Sturdy wire shelves. Cannot stress that enough. That is one place where I actually made a huge mistake. I was going to get sturdy wire shelves, and we ended up getting the really thick, heavy, like the plastic shelves instead, because they were a little bit cheaper, and that's something I regret. At some point, we are going to replace them. I'm hearing either squirrels or bucks. Don't know, it must be a huge squirrel. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. You'll hear that in the prepping community, folks, you new preppers. And that basically means have a backup plan for everything, okay? Because if you don't have a backup plan, you don't have a backup system. Let's say, for example, an emergency radio. You don't have a backup, you just have the one. At some point it's gonna tear up, it's gonna fail on you, okay? And then you have none. So that's, that's kind of prepping 101. We did the poll this morning. I was interested to see where y'all stood. The bigger threat during SHTF, starvation or marauders? Zombies, as we like to call them sometimes. And according to the live chat, marauders, 66% of you believe that marauders are a bigger threat during SHTF. So I'm curious to see the folks that are catching this after it's live, what you think on that, if you agree with that poll or not. I think it's pretty accurate. Let me see here, bug out bags. It's estimated that the average bug out bag or rucksack weighs 40 pounds in the prepping community. Did y'all know that? There's some info this morning, 40 pounds. It took some digging to find that. But realistically, it should be, I think they say, a quarter of your total body weight. So there you go. If you're a very small person, if you're 80 pounds soaking wet, you don't want a 40-pound rucksack. Okay, so pack it out accordingly. You don't need, somebody just said the Marine, let me see. Oh, mine is 28 pounds. Okay, that's very good then. I probably need to shed some in mine, and there's a few things I don't need in there, I can guarantee you, but I'm one of these people where I'm afraid to leave it behind, and I always end up taking a little too much. So I need to slim mine down. Have a compass and have a couple of copies, hard copies of maps of your local area, okay? Too many people rely on GPS, or they rely on the main roads. If you're from the country, you get the fact that there are back roads everywhere, and they spider web together, and you can go places and get around checkpoints and things if that's an issue during SHTF. So it pays to have maps, okay? And maybe drive some of the roads if you're bored one day. Take the family, tell them, you know, get in the car, son, we're going for a ride. Keep cash on hand. You don't have to wipe out your entire bank account, you know, and keep a huge wad of cash in your pocket. Not that I have a huge wad of cash in the bank to begin with, but keep a little bit, because if the grid goes down even for a few days, your card becomes worthless, your credit debit card, nobody's going to take that at that point, okay? And we see this several times a year. Let me see, where am I at? Don't forget hygiene and sanitation. I wrote this down. This is trash. What are you going to do with your trash during SHTF, okay? Most people, myself included, we're going to burn it, but if there's a threat nearby, you don't really want to do that. So you got to work that out ahead of time. You got to have a way to stay clean should the power go out and things like this, okay? Have some deodorant. Who knows? A couple of y'all need to go ahead and upgrade on that, right? I think I see Arkansas in here. How you doing, brother? Just bringing you up randomly, you know, when we're talking about deodorant here. Have a backup plan for everything, including your backup plan. If we're sitting here right now and we're not in the middle of an SHTF, then we have time to game plan. I know he said, bruh, I'm just messing with you, brother. Have plenty of backup plans. And I was half asleep when I wrote these down, folks, so forgive me if one or two were off. Remember your pets. One of the things that newer preppers have a bad tendency to do is they do not prep for pets. Your more experienced preppers are already on top of this. You can prep canned meats. You want to be sure you have extra water on hand for your pets, extra dry food, whatever your pet likes to eat. You know what I mean? Focus on your privacy. Your cell phone's giving out information when you go into the J. Crew store or whatever you got there locally, and they ask for your phone number. You know, either give them a made-up phone number or ask them for theirs. You know, can I get yours first, please? Since we're now hitting on each other. Learn to hunt and fish if you don't know how to do it. I prefer to fish. And here's why, okay? It's easier to carry fish away from a pond than it is to try and drag a buck or something out of the woods. They're just heavy, okay? There's a lot more involved. Fishing's not that hard. Don't let this be your primary means of eating during SHTF. Have food stacked, okay? But you need to know how to hunt. You need to know how to fish, especially the fishing, I would say, if you have water nearby. Research your neighbors. Looking at my neighbors and your neighborhood. Understand who is around you, because during an SHTF, you're going to see these people a lot. Research the neighborhood, understand the ways in and out, and identify what is probably going to be the safest way in and out during an SHTF, because especially if the military gets involved in any way, or the police, there are going to be checkpoints, okay? This is what we were talking about with back roads a while ago. You can avoid checkpoints if you need to on a back road in many cases. Have mental toughness. I've met people here locally, because of the pandemic, and they're beat down. You know, there's no other way to put it. I wish there was a better way to put it, but mentally, it's just beating people down. Be sure you're talking to your friends, talk to your family, make sure they're in good spirits, okay? Because it's a really bad time for everybody. I think it was the active duty military. I saw an article yesterday where their suicide rate has doubled since this time last year. It's affecting everybody, and those are the toughest people, I would argue, in the United States, and it's hurting them mentally. So learn how to deal with adversity, and you can become mentally tough. You know, you can put yourself, again, you can grab a rucksack and go out here for 2 or 3 days or whatever, however long your better half will allow you to go. And, you can work on it out there. It really, not to go too far down the rant hole here, but anytime I'm feeling down or beat down or just overwhelmed, if I go into the woods, it's just, there's a peace or a calm out there. You know what I mean? It just kind of resets me. I know that sounds cheesy. Skills are greater than gear. Always. How you doing, Sophia? Skills are greater than gear. So let me give you a prime example here. I love the Sawyer Mini. Love them. But I think it's more important that you know how to collect rainwater or, lake water, whatever, and that you know how to purify it than it is to have a Sawyer Mini, because the Sawyer ain't going to last forever. They're good units. I think they're supposed to last up to 100,000 gallons, but man, that's a stretch. I mean, they're not that big, So just work on your skills first, and then also have the gear. Maintain your vehicle and keep it gassed up, which is hard to do right now. Gas is $3.09 a gallon here, which is ridiculous for this area. But yeah, keep it gassed and have some extra gas on hand just in case, okay? Because you may have to, if you bug out, you may have to drive beyond a gas tank to get out of harm's way. Finally, learn to drive a stick shift. I rarely hear this talked about in the prepping community. Some of you drive trucks already. Some of you have homesteads, you're used to tractors. You would be amazed how many people out here do not know how to drive a stick. And you may be in a SHTF situation where the only vehicle you can find is a stick shift. Okay, so if it's possible for you to get one up, get into one, maybe your neighbor, your friend or something has one, and it's possible for you to try it out without jacking their transmission up too bad. Maybe try it out, get them to teach you. So there are 3 paths to prepping for you new preppers. We're going to talk about all 3, and then we'll get into the chat, okay? And again, hopefully there are a lot of good comments, a lot of good advice in the chat. So if you're a newer prepper, you can actually mute me at this point and go into the chat and write down a bunch of things, okay? Because I promise you, they've been dropping them in there. So the 3 paths of prepping: the bunker in mentality, the bug out mentality, and the homesteading mentality, okay? They each have their advantage and disadvantage. Yeah, they all 3 have disadvantages. They're homesteaders. So bunker in, you have the home field advantage. You know your property, you know your home, you have everything that you're going to need right there. You don't have to worry about leaving something behind, okay? That's the advantage. The disadvantage is danger close. If you have a bunker in mentality, there's a chance danger is coming to your property at some point, to your front door. And I know, you're supposed to take care of the threat before it gets to the front door. And I totally agree with that, okay? Take care of it at the edge of the property, not the front door. But if it shows up in the middle of the night, and it's at your front door at that point, it's danger close. So research, there's 2 different things to research if you have this mentality. And this bunker in is a great path for people that have disabilities, or they have small children, or they have a lot of pets, and they can't really justify going out in the middle of nowhere, okay? Research survival shelters, believe it or not. Maybe look into a survival shelter. You can also build one on the cheap if you're any good with tools, all right? And those videos are available on YouTube. The bug out mentality. The advantage is you can avoid danger. Again, if you use those back roads and you have a spot picked out, you can stay away from danger rather than hope it doesn't show up at the front door. The downside is you have limited resources. You have what you have, and that's pretty much it. Beyond your skills, your hunting and your fishing at this point, right? If this is you, if you plan on bugging out, I would invest heavily into gear and skills, of course, and look up YouTube videos on bushcrafting. They are awesome to watch, and you can actually learn quite a bit there. Finally, homesteading. There are some good homesteaders in this chat right now. The upside to homesteading is your resources are plentiful because you're making them. You know what I mean? You're growing your own stuff and you have it going on. You don't have to worry about running out of food because you are planting the stuff. Now the downside is, I think in a right SHTF, you become a target. Okay, so it may be an okay plan to duck out in an apartment or a townhouse somewhere in the middle of chaos, or to bug out. But if you have a 50-acre or 100-acre farm and you have a bunch of farm equipment, you can't really hide that. And at some point, again, depending on the SHTF situation, they're going to find you. Danger is going to find you. Now, this could be a group of just hungry people and you brandish a firearm and you tell them to get to stepping. But this could be also, an armored column of North Korean soldiers. At this point, you're hurting. So that's just something to consider when you are homesteading. And of course, if you're interested in homesteading, there are homesteading channels all over YouTube. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, folks, I know I saw A American in here, Sophia's in here, Arkansas is in here, but I'm sure there are others. And Mames, if you have a YouTube channel where you're putting out prepping content, okay, maybe go ahead right now and put into the chat, if you cover bunkering in, or if you specialize in bunkering, bugging out and doing bushcraft, or if you have a homestead channel. So these newer preppers can find you and check your stuff out, okay? And that would be awesome. Thank you very much. Prepper Medic, Wolverines. I look down, the first thing I see is Wolverines. It's going to be a good one, son. My chat is all messed up. Nana P. That'd make a good t-shirt. I'm not going to lie to you. Nana, my chat's all messed up. Good morning, Leah. How you doing, ma'am? And Matt, if he's in here, I haven't said hi to Matt in the past couple of days. Mojo is in here. How you doing, brother? Buy a sharpening stone. Absolutely, Edward. That's good advice. And you can actually get them. I have a couple of the regular stones, but I've got one also that has the guides on them, to where you just drop the blade on and it's at a perfect angle, and you just, you know what I'm saying, you go back and forth. You can't mess up with those. They're a little more expensive though. Domestic Gangsta, I cover bunkering in, prepping. She does, and she also can show you how to prep on the cheap. She's really good when it comes to couponing and stuff like that. So if that's your jam, there you go. I saw that earlier. American Trucker said, remember a while back, folks, he had come into a bunch of tuna. I didn't ask him. I don't know if he's tied in with the mob or what, but he's got a lot of tuna. Cases, hundreds of cases. And he offers it to his family members, and they said, yeah, we'll take one case. We're normal. And now they are selling stuff to try and make ends meet. And he's like, I tried to tell you. We the People, oh yeah, I didn't see you in here, brother. We the People Prepping has an awesome channel as well. I like to cover bunkering in and bugging out. So there you go. You can find him here on YouTube. I don't think he's in here. Six Shooter Homestead has a really good homesteading channel too. And there's nothing wrong with any of the three paths. You know what I mean? Some people are just in a situation, maybe they're taking care of elderly parents or disabled kids or something, and they just can't bug out, folks. And they're in the middle of a city, so they can't homestead. They can't afford to move. So they're going to look into bunkering in, okay? Other people, my situation, honestly, is I would love to have a homestead, but it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money right now to get decent land and to get the equipment. And so right now, at least, my path is bugging out if it comes down to it. We have a bug out location. It's not really ideal for homesteading, but we can plant a few gardens and things like that. Other people have tons of land and they can homestead, which is awesome as well. I have one chicken video, Justin. Hey man, I was gonna do a top 10 list. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was gonna do a top 10 list, and I got home a little late this morning and had to set everything up. A top 10 list on how you know if somebody's a prepper. And I would love to hear this. And the two I had, I was in the car, like trying to come up with them. The first one was if you own more boomsticks than you have children. And the second one was a mountain house logo tattooed on your lower back. Can y'all come up with any others? I was gonna do if you've ever eaten wet beaver, but I I guess I just did open the floodgates on that one. Yay, I didn't miss the live, Lulu. No, you did not. Welcome. Swamp Bottom Living. You got family in here, John. Oh boy. Best behavior then, if that's the truth here. Michelle, good morning. I ate a beaver, son. Yeah, some of you were. It's weird because we brought that up a couple of weeks ago, and some people were given legit beaver recipes. Like, son, you can them, you do this and you do that, and other people start talking about X's, and I'm like, oh no. White collar prepping, nothing wrong with the beaver. That can be taken in so many different ways. Mostly, I get stuck with dry muskrat. Oh boy. Meat Trapper, YouTube it, Jim Rupp. Yeah, there are people on here that on YouTube that have excellent channels when it comes to trapping and stuff like that. If you have furniture made out of canned goods, that's a really good one. You know, if you buy canned food by the case, 12 at a time, you know what I mean? I think I'm about to go boomstick shopping today. Been thinking about it since I got up. Arkansas living. Where are you going to get them? Are you going like to a local sportsman shop? Are you going to the gun barn? Do you have a Rural King? They usually have decent deals. That's why I ask. If you have cans hidden under the bed. Yeah, Nana, a lot of us are guilty of that. That's actually one of the few places we don't have prepping stuff stuffed in there, to be honest. That's one of the few places my wife is like, no, it's not going under the bed. We got it everywhere else, so, you know. Yeah, Dusty, in the end, it all tastes like chicken. If you have your preps hidden at all, yeah, domestic. We got a guy that's coming. He's supposed to do seamless guttering and stuff, and I've been worried about that because I need to know when he's coming so I can make sure all the preps are put away. I don't want him catching a glimpse. You know what I mean? I always worry about that when somebody shows up. So a local place, Arkansas. I've seen here locally in my area. I've seen good deals lately on shotguns. Other than that, the pistols and everything have been priced pretty high. If you wear P38s for earrings, that's a good one. Several of y'all emailed yesterday after the stream and you said you had also been stopped. In stores, people would ask you, you know, why you're buying so much food, why, you know, are you a prepper? And it blows my mind that people would just outright ask that. I mean, I guess people are nosy, but daggone, I didn't realize it was that widespread of an issue. So for you folks that have run into this problem, and the newer folks, I guess I should say, the newer preppers in here, don't buy it all in one place. You know, kind of skip shop, store to store to store here and there. Yeah, too many. Let's see. Michelle says too many people are nosy these days. They really are, apparently. And thank you, Greg. And especially now with people hurting for money, and a lot of people are starting to wake up. You know, the whole nation hasn't woken up yet, but many of you have said, you know, in my area, people are starting to buy up stuff that they shouldn't be buying up, and they're buying extras and all this stuff. So if they see you up front, good morning, Jim and Shorty, if they see you up front and you've got $500 worth of canned food, you may not want to do that. There's a bee, son. Yeah, Kit just says, let's see here. Kit, where'd you go, Kit? Oh my God. Someone asked why I bought so much food, which wasn't a lot. I told them I got 10 kids. Wow. Wow. It's a wonder they didn't offer to pay for your groceries at that point. 10 kids, I've been like, do you need help here? You want me to carry the stuff out? Because I know you got it rough. Just tell them you only go shopping monthly. That's decent. That's a decent cover story, Grey Wolf. Some people are none the wiser. Other people, they'll know. Like they'll look at you and they're like, this person's buying nothing but rice and canned food and powdered milk. Something's up. First aid kits for pets and yourself. That's a good prep. Some pets also need medication. So when you're prepping for your pets, be sure you have plenty of food and water, but also think about the medication. Usually vets will give it to you, I guess, if it's not narcotic. I don't know. It varies by vet, I guess. Prepper Nation, Jim says, do you have enough room at your bug out location for a bunker? There's enough land there. I really haven't looked into it. I don't know if the land would have to be level. If the land does not have to be level, then yeah, we have plenty there. But if it's got to be leveled off to be installed, then no, probably not, because it's literally on a mountain like this. Look like something off of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. You know, those mountains that just round off. And so the land that we have over there is mostly sloping uphill or downhill. Russell the Muscle's up in the house. So I'm going to go here in a second, folks. I just wanted to let y'all know before I went ahead and surprised my wife yesterday with flowers early. I can tell y'all that because she's already gotten the flowers, and she was amazed. Still going to get her something for her birthday. I hadn't decided on a gift yet, but the flowers were definitely a big hit because they were out of the blue. Tamar, thank you. I liked the video on nutrient survival foods yesterday. Their food actually was pretty good. Now that I'm not on the video and y'all know it's the real deal, their food was good. I was a little taken aback by the prices when I got online. Some of their stuff was decent price. Some of it was a little overpriced for me personally. But again, I mean, to each their own. Some people buy only the best when it comes to prepping. And like I was saying on the video, if that's you, then it's well worth the money. But if you're prepping on a budget, there are cheaper options out there. Way to go, son. Robert says, I appreciate it. I just went down. I'm not going to lie. They didn't have anything pre-made. I kind of felt bad. I went in to the flower shop. I said, do you have anything pre-made? And they're like, no, honey, we've had so many funerals. And I didn't even think about that because of the COVID. So I just went with, just to let y'all know, white daisies and red roses. And then they put some greenery in there. And that was that. I'm here, James Davis. I see you, James Davis. I'm here too for the next couple of minutes. Leslie, had someone ask me why I was buying so much peanut butter. Peanut butter is a good prep though. I mean, you can't go wrong with peanut butter, but how much were you buying? If you don't mind me asking, was it like a half a buggy full or what? Some people are, oh, how can I put this? Some people are in love with powdered peanut butter. I don't really care for it all that much because the shelf life, as long as you're checking your dates, regular peanut butter lasts quite a while for the money. And powdered peanut butter typically is like 2 or 3 times higher in price. Have a great day, Nana P. Thanks, Dawn, for being here. Thank you to all the moderators. I'm going to go ahead right now and jet. If you don't mind, let me know in the chat now or after the fact what you would like to talk about tomorrow, and we shall talk about it. I'm sure there's some news going on right now. But other than that, if there's a prepping deal that y'all want to talk about tomorrow morning, just let me know, and we'll go in that direction, okay? But until tomorrow morning, y'all take care and God bless.